Faded Glory, The Last Remnant. A story set in the Faded Glory universe, based on end times prophecy. The streets of New Babylon were quiet tonight, too quiet. The air felt thick, almost electric, the kind of stillness that came before a storm. Carlos adjusted his collar, keeping his head low as he moved through the narrow alleys. Surveillance drones hummed overhead, their red lenses scanning every shadow, every movement. The global union had finally done it. They had erased the past, rewritten history, and placed their architect, the so-called Great Administrator, on the throne of the world. What was once a conspiracy theory whispered in the dark was now their reality. Carlos had seen it all happen. The wars, the collapses, the rise of the new order. He had fought against it and lost too many friends in the process. And now he was one of the last left standing, a soldier without a nation, a man without a home. The mark was everywhere. No one bought or sold without it. It glowed faintly on the hands and foreheads of every citizen, a silent declaration of loyalty to the global union. But Carlos? He bore no mark. The resistance moves in shadows. The old church still stood, though it was no longer a church. The cross had been torn down, the doors sealed with iron. Inside, priests and pastors had been replaced with enforcers, their sermons now digital mandates played on glowing screens. But not all had bowed to the beast. Carlos slipped through a hidden passage beneath the ruins of an old bookstore, emerging into a dimly lit bunker. The smell of dust and sweat filled the air. Raven was already there, her sharp eyes scanning the room. "You're late," she muttered, crossing her arms. "Had to take the long way," Carlos replied. "More drones on patrol. They're watching everything now." Raven exhaled sharply. "It's getting worse." At the center of the room, Bowman leaned over a flickering holomap of the city. "They moved the checkpoints, locking down every major district. Anyone without the mark is either dead or running out of places to hide." Carlos nodded. "Then we hit them before they hit us." A world ruled by the beast. They had all heard the speech, the architect standing before the world, speaking in that smooth, unnatural voice. This is the age of unity, the age of peace. Those who resist progress. A false peace, enforced with drones, machines, and mindless enforcers who had surrendered their will for security. The great administrator sat in the rebuilt Temple of the World, a golden monument where he declared himself King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and the people worshipped him. Carlos had seen them, men and women falling to their knees before giant screens, chanting the architect's name. The little horn had risen, just as the old prophets had warned. The beast had come, and yet the remnant remained. The last stand. Carlos checked his rifle. Ammunition was running low, but he had something more powerful. A word they couldn't erase, a truth they couldn't kill. "They think they've won," Raven said, loading a fresh magazine into her sidearm. "They always do," Carlos muttered, "until the sky cracks open." The night was closing in, but the fight wasn't over. The real king was coming somewhere beyond the lights of the city, beyond the steel walls and digital chains. And when he did, the beast and his kingdom would burn. Carlos looked at his team, Raven, Bowman, the few fighters left in the remnant. They were tired, battered, outgunned, but they weren't beaten, not yet. "Let's go," he said, stepping into the dark. The end was near, but so was the beginning.